Hey, Oz.
Hey, Curtis.
What movie we watching this week?
Well, remember, we switched months, so we got a new theme this month. So we're looking at sports comedies, and the first sports comedy I have for you is a marriage of For the Love of the Game meets The Bodyguard with a mix of Major League Back to the Minors. This week, we're talking about the Kevin Costner, Susan Sarandon hit, Bull Durham.
That works so well. Not Major League Back to the Minors, because
Exactly.
It's set in the minor leagues. Yeah.
I know. I do my research for these movie marriages, you know.
Yeah, I could tell it took hours to put that one together.
I don't know. I had to scroll through all the major leagues until I found the third one, Back to the Minors.
Major League 34.
It's like The Land Before Time, where it's like, you know, the latest Land Before Time was about what happened last week, and yet the dinosaurs are still around. I feel like there's like 75 of those movies, and they're always before time.
Yeah, so. There's a lot of time before time.
It's true. It's true. Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to another week of Let's Talk About Flicks, the weekly podcast where we take a monthly theme and take turns bringing a movie to satisfy that theme. New month means new theme. Curtis, what's our theme this month?
Sports comedies.
Beer, 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 beer. I love a sports comedy.
Yeah, it is.
I love a comedy, period. So.
Yes. Growing up, comedy was always the genre that kind of pulled me in. So there's a couple other genres I think that are near the top of my list now, but it's hard to push comedy off of that.
Yeah. Yeah, comedy has always been way up there for me. Comedy and horror. And of course, you could read report after report about the similarities between comedy and horror. And I know some of our favorites mix the two very well.
Yep.
Shaun of the Dead, Evil Dead 2, Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2.
Just watched Shaun of the Dead the other night.
Halloween 6,
Land Before Time 73.
Right. Police Academy, Citizens on Patrol, like
horror, the horror.
Right.
Hey, Tackleberry.
And so yeah, sports comedies are definitely it's going to be a fun month for sure.
Yeah,
of course, we've looked at what we've got going this month, and it's kind of fun too, when we're in charge of the programming. So we get to pick what we're watching, so we make sure that it's satisfactory.
Our producers tried to tell us to mix things up a little bit, but we put our foot down.
Right.
No, this is our show.
That's right. Quit meddling.
Yeah, get out of here. Not Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys.
Right. All those folks over at Earwolf Media.
Earwolf Media. Conan, this is our show.
Right. I know that you record next door, Mr. O'Brien, but leave us alone.
You just want a piece of this.
That would be a fun little hookup, though, if he interviews a celebrity and then they come to our podcast to talk about the movies that they're in. I'll talk to Paul. I'd love to talk to Paul Rudd about Maccabee.
I think that would be a fun conversation.
So
I brought a clip with Conan.
That was classic. That just as soon as he heard the squealing, the squeaks of those wheelchair wheels, he knew that he'd been had.
Yeah.
Before we get too far, I want to give a shout out to our Patreon subscribers.
Plural.
Don S. and Melissa L. is back.
Yes.
After a hiatus, she has returned to our Patreon subscriber list. So Don, you've got company. As you and Melissa.
I'd say competition.
Competition, yeah, yeah. Because I think she's in for the mini episodes.
She is. So yeah, she's throwing down the whole top tier.
Yep. And with the $1 billion lottery coming around the corner later this evening, we may have, if someone wins, we may have to introduce a new tier. There's our $3 tier, our $6 tier, and our $10 million tier.
$1 billion tier.
Yeah. The $10 million tier is your opportunity to go in decent proposal with either one of us. But not the Robert Redford Woody, not that version. No. the Kingpin version.
Yeah.
of a decent proposal.
I'll give you $1 million to sleep with your friend.
As long as you're Chris Elliott.
Yes. We call it the Elliott tier.
That's right. It's the Elliott tier.
The cabin.
It's worth
the cabin boy tier.
It's worth $10 million, and you don't have to have any boils or or exploding pimples. All right, so I guess we should introduce ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm Oz.
I'm Curtis.
And we are going to get rolling here. So Bull Durham. It's 89?
88.
88.
1988. Yes, the first of the 27 Kevin Costner baseball movies.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He wanted to spend as much time making baseball movies as he did in the minor leagues. Mm-hmm. So he's the Crash Davis of baseball movies. So who do we have for characters in this movie?
Character rundown. Oz has got the plot this week, which means I got the characters. I have 5 characters here. There's really only 3, but I put down 5. Yeah. Why not? I'm also going to get a shout out up top to the writer and director Ron Shelton as well. Mm-hmm. Part of this movie was kind of loosely based on some of his own experiences because Ron Shelton was, before he got into film, he was a minor league baseball player.
Who was it? Who wasn't a minor league baseball player? I know Kurt Russell played minor league baseball. Mm-hmm. There were several. There were several people.
Several people. Kurt Russell.
I think was Tony Danza a minor league baseball player?
He should have been if he wasn't.
I think he was in the Cardinals system. Tom Brady.
Yeah.
He was drafted.
I know Russell Wilson, of the quarterback of now the Denver Broncos. He played minor league baseball.
He did play minor league baseball. Alex Rodriguez.
He played
Ozzie Smith.
Andre Dawson played minor league baseball.
Andre Dawson. Ryan Sandberg.
So many celebrities played minor league baseball.
Mike Trout
played minor league baseball.
Mm-hmm. Barry Bonds, I believe, played minor league. Even
Barry Bonds played minor league baseball?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I think Ken Griffey Jr.
So many people.
And Ken Griffey Sr.
Hector Villanueva.
Stephen Curry. Yeah. Fernando Valenzuela.
Yep. Who gets a reference in
he does. It's one of my favorite references in this movie. And Tim Tebow, he played minor league baseball.
Yes, he did, for better and for worse. Tim Tebow.
God loves Tim Tebow.
You know who played minor league baseball? Michael Jordan.
He did play minor league baseball.
Michael Jordan played minor league baseball.
He dabbled.
Yeah, for the Double-A Birmingham Barons.
Yeah, he's quite good.
He hit like 202, which for somebody going straight into that level of professional baseball, is pretty good.
And you know what? He was ahead of his time, because if he would have batted 202, he'd probably be starting for many major league teams now.
Yes.
See, because he knows how to strike out.
Yes.
And that's the only requirement to be a major leaguer today is what's your exit velo, and can you strike out?
3 true outcomes. Home run, walk, strikeout. He was excellent at one of those 3.
Yeah. If you can hit the ball hard, even if you're out, it doesn't matter. But if you hit the ball hard or strike out, you could start. Mm-hmm. So, sorry, Jordan, you were just ahead of your time.
Mm-hmm. A true luminary in minor league failure. So he went back to his day job after that failed season. Minors didn't work out for him. Day job of winning NBA championships.
Right.
We got 5.
Who's our
We're
cast?
all over the place today, which is fine.
That's all right. That's fine.
So I put 5 characters down, although 3 really matter. We have Crash Davis, who's the lead, played by the one and only your favorite actor, Oz, Kevin Costner.
He is. He's my all-time favorite. He's my all-time favorite many baseball movie actor.
He's your favorite multiple baseball movie actor.
Take that back. I'll take Wesley Snipes.
Tom Berenger.
Exactly.
So Crash Davis is a career minor league catcher. He's in his early 30s in this film. He's kind of bouncing around from team to team. He made the show once for 21 days. And the show, folks, is making Major League Baseball.
You're right. Right. That's like playing Major League Baseball, not the show making Major League Baseball. That's a different show. That's on A&E Wednesdays at 9.
We have Annie Savoy, played by Susan Sarandon. As we both pause for a moment.
Yeah. It's because it's a little early in the day to give a tiger roll of the tongue, so...
Annie Savoy is a local community college teacher. She teaches was it English and composition at the local community college, and during the summers she chooses one local minor league player to say mentor.
I think she did this only because there wasn't an OnlyFans at the time. I think Annie would have probably flourished on OnlyFans as the community college professor.
A true innovator, Annie Savoy.
Yes. Again, ahead of her time.
We have Ebby Calvin Nuke LaLoosh, played by Tim Robbins. He's the young fireballer. It's his first year in professional baseball. He's been drafted, and he's the up-and-comer, Oz. He's got a live arm. He's got $1 million arm, and unfortunately a 5-cent brain, but...
Yeah, he's an idiot.
But
he's a fun idiot.
He is a fun idiot. Nuke LaLoosh. There's a couple other sort of side characters who pop up here and there. We have Joe Skip Riggins, played by Trey Wilson. He's the manager of the minor league Durham Bulls. And then we have Larry Hockett, played by Robert Wool, who is, they never reveal exactly, he's either the bench coach or the pitching coach or both.
He's just Robert Wool.
He's basically just Robert Wool. He's there.
That's all he's ever been. Any movie we've covered where he's in it, he's Robert
Wool. There's some other characters, but they don't matter.
No, not really.
Yeah, I would argue the last two don't really matter either, but yeah.
Nah, they had a fun moment or two.
They had a couple.
So,
all right, Oz, let's get to the plot. Yes.
To the plot. We start this movie. Now. It's interesting that you led your cast list with Crash Davis, because honestly, I was thinking about this last night as I was trying to fall asleep. I really think Annie is the main character of this movie. And the movie starts us out. We meet Annie. She's on her way to the ballpark. She wakes up in the morning. She gets herself ready. She gets herself dressed. She looks like $1 million, and she's headed down to the ballpark. As she's giving a voiceover as to what she does, long story short, she sleeps with ball players.
Monogamously.
Right. She picks one and apparently is irresistible. And so that's what she does. Each season she picks one player, and then that player is her man for the year. Apparently in single A Durham, nobody is ever there for 2 years, because I feel like if she were to pick a player for 1 year and then they were back the next season and she picked someone else, that would probably ruin his career, because I think his confidence would just tank.
You're back again. So this is gonna be this is gonna be awkward.
I've already picked Rocket Arm over there. And so that's how we meet Annie. She's on her way to the ballpark. I can't really get a feel for the era of this. I don't recall them ever mentioning like what year the season was.
I think it's supposed to be set in modern day, so like mid to late 1980s. That's
so the early 2020s.
Yes. And by modern, I mean now.
Right.
It's whatever era you project yourself into.
Yeah, I couldn't really put a finger on because it's like, all right, late 80s, and it was fine. Like that it would fit just fine. But the same, like some of the decor in her home and the way that she dressed, she
perceives herself as this sort of classic kind of Southern charmer.
Yeah. I guess it's also fair. You mentioned South, and that's fair to remember too. Is you kind of I think they play up a little bit too of the South just catches up a little later. Mm-hmm. So even though if it does set in like the late 80s, it probably still feels a little earlier than that, because it's the South. So yeah, we meet Annie. We also meet LaLoosh. Mm-hmm. He's yet to adopt his nickname. We meet him right away as it is 4 minutes before game time.
Yeah, it's his professional debut, Oz, and the game's about to start. Yes. Where is he?
And they find him in the locker room with another little filly, as he is getting rid of his stress.
Yes, that's one way to put it.
Yeah, he's caught in the midst of passion in the locker room 4 minutes before the game starts. And the person he's caught with is, I can't remember
Millie.
her name. It starts with
Millie.
Millie. I almost said Maggie. So he's with Millie, who shows up off and on through the movie. But it's kind of funny because Millie is like Annie's groupie.
Yeah, she's like Annie in training.
You know, yeah. And so and Annie has no problem with Millie doing what she's doing,
as long as she takes responsibility for her actions.
Right. It's almost like Millie's a scout. You know, like, I was just with LaLoosh, and I think that should be your guy this year, Annie. So LaLoosh is 4 minutes before his major league debut, and he's caught in the locker room. So we hit the field. LaLoosh has got, like you said, $1 million arm. It's his debut. Poor Sap cannot hit the strike zone for anything.
He hits lots of other things, though.
But he throws hard. His final line, 18 strikeouts and 18 walks. So I don't remember the score, but you left him in there for 36 batters.
I'm trying to do the math in my head at, like, how many pitches that is.
Right. Walks alone. Again, let's say they're just four pitch walks, not full counts or anything. You're looking at
72?
72 there, and 30 and 24, 54. So we're looking at
120 some pitch count.
Yeah, 120 to 130 pitches just on 4 ball walks and 3 strikeouts.
That's assuming he
no
threw
mix.
the minimum pitches.
Yeah. Yes, and that's
it's a good way to burn out
so,
your rocket arm rookie there.
Yeah. And if 18 strikeouts means that if he pitched a complete game, there were other outs. He had to get 9 one way or another. So yeah, I think conservatively he's thrown 150 plus
at
pitches
least
that day.
Modern sabermetrics would indicate that that's not a wise thing to do.
You just took your $1 million arm and made him pitch 3 outings in one. And so Annie, meanwhile, while she's watching, she's kind of an unofficial scout. She's watched enough baseball for the Durham Bulls. She's probably been around the ballpark longer than anybody, including the management, has been there. So she's taking notes on how he can improve. You know, he's not bending his back on his.
Yep, he's high on everything. His release point's too high, and she notices.
Yeah. So after the game, after the first game of the season, and LaLoosh's first pitching outing of the season, immediately after the game, Crash Davis walks into the locker room. He's been called down to Single A Durham to work with the pitching mechanics of LaLoosh. The timing of this seems a bit odd. They're literally in after the first game. So somebody during the game, where they're leaving LaLoosh out there for his 150 plus pitches. At some point during the game, they call the AAA affiliate and say, "You need to send us Crash Davis." And Davis apparently was next door as he shows up.
They're playing in Raleigh.
Right. So either that, or they knew that this was that Davis was just late and he should have been there for I don't know. But he's brought in he's going to help LaLoosh. Well, LaLoosh has got this idea that I am God's gift to pitching, and what I do works. I mean, he's an idiot. Davis refers to him as meat the entire movie.
Why does he call me meat?
Right, and he's an idiot. And Tim Robbins plays it wonderfully. I think he plays a great idiot. Howard the Duck, he plays a great idiot. So we're at the bar afterwards. Annie shows up. She sits down with the mascot guy, who's just this dopey, but fun-loving.
The real life guy. Was it Max Patkin? Something like that. But yeah, that's his bit.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, he did a good job. You could tell it was his thing.
Yeah.
So Annie's sitting with him, and then Crash sends a couple of beers over. So Annie she's kind of smitten because here's somebody closer to my age. So Crash meets Annie. LaLoosh challenges him to a fight over her because this is how meatheads act.
I feel threatened, therefore I must punch you.
Yeah, I want her, so we're gonna fight over her.
Yeah, caveman. Arg, arg, arg.
Exactly. So out back they go, and Crash is just throwing insults at him left and right. You couldn't hit water if you fell out of a boat. So he takes a swing at him. Of course, he misses, and basically Crash teaches him lesson number 1: don't think.
Yeah. Stop
thinking. You're overthinking everything. And for an idiot, you can't think anyway. So do yourself a favor and just stop thinking.
Well, Crash tells Nuke, or he hasn't been dubbed Nuke yet.
He's not Nuke yet. Yeah.
Tells LaLoosh. Crash pulls a baseball out of his pocket and tosses it to him. And LaLoosh is maybe, I don't know, 20, 30 feet away. He's surrounded by all of his teammates.
If that.
Yeah. And he says, hey, just throw the ball at me. And LaLoosh is like, I'll kill you. Like, you're not gonna hit me.
I'm gonna throw this ball through you.
and
like, no, we just saw you hit several people with fastballs, LaLoosh, and you didn't kill any of them. So I don't think you're gonna kill him.
So Crash just stands there.
Yeah.
And he starts pestering him like, you're already overthinking it right now. You're thinking, what if I miss in front of all my friends? And so he's completely in his head, which probably isn't a difficult thing to do to get into LaLoosh's head.
There's a lot of room in there.
And so LaLoosh short arms it, and he doesn't follow through because he's nervous, and he throws it. He releases too soon. It breaks through a window.
Yeah, puts it through a window that's nowhere even close.
Yep.
And Crash Davis just standing there with his beer. He doesn't even flinch. Like, he knew it wasn't going to hit him. So that's the end of that fight.
Yeah.
Annie invites LaLoosh and Crash over to her place because, one of you two are going to be my man for the season, and I need to figure out which one. Crash just walks out. He refuses to be. No, I'm not playing this game. I'm not going to be your pawn.
Yeah. Well, he says after 12 years in the minor leagues, I don't try out.
Yeah. it's either me or what. LaLoosh meanwhile gets excited. He's like, I win. I beat him.
Yep.
So
Annie's very educated.
I was gonna say she's very sophisticated for, you can tell, and I have a lot of respect for Annie in this regard. She's doing what she wants to.
Yeah, she's completely she's got her own agency. These are all her choices. She talked before when she kind of scolded Millie a little bit about taking responsibility for what she was doing with LaLoosh.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, she's sleeping with ball players because that's what she wants to do. Like, that's satisfying for her, knowing that these are basically long-term but short-term relationships. They're going to last for the season, but after that, they're gone. And it's a clean slate. So I get all of the satisfaction that I desire from a probably much younger man. And then I'm off the hook. And she likes to be sophisticated with the men. So she asks LaLoosh if he's ever been tied up, which he gets very excited about. He is chomping at the bit.
Yeah.
He's being as juvenile and inexperienced as a person could be. Like, it's for him, it's he just wants to get get to the action.
It's all about the end result. There's no there's no romance involved.
There's no warm ups. There's no pregame. It's just let me get on the the
well, he established he doesn't need warm ups. That's already established. You got 4 minutes.
Yeah. So it's true. 4 minutes to do it again, because that's what he did in those 4 minutes with Millie, went back to it. So he agrees. So she ties him up and then reads Walt Whitman to him.
He asks her, "Who's he play for?"
Like, he's just complete idiot. Yeah. And I think she finds it sweet in a way of, like, this poor sap, you know.
She talks about like she compares kind of what they're doing to like quantum physics and attraction, and he's like, "Hey Eddie, what's all this molecule stuff?"
Right. And so he shows up to the ballpark, to the locker room the next day, just exhausted. I mean, sunglasses on. It looks like he's just worn for wear. And everybody's kind of giving him a hard time about, oh, is that, like, she wore you out? And he's like, no, she just read to me all night. Like,
it's more tactical pitching.
Yeah. I had to listen. And now he's got his new nickname, Nuke. Yep.
Call me Nuke.
Yeah, he's got a nuclear arm. And so, next day at the plate, Crash is up for his first at bat. And we get more internal voiceover.
Love these scenes. I love these scenes so much.
And it kind of gets ripped on because a lot of movies have voice narration, and it gets kind of a bad rap because it seems lazy. Like have your characters just say what they're thinking instead of voice over what they're thinking. But in these instances, it works because you're not going to talk to yourself while you're standing at the plate. And I agree. I really like these. He's psyching himself up. He's going through the thought process while he's at the plate based on what pitch he's getting.
Situational baseball. Yeah.
And, and it is cool. And, he's really trying to psych himself up. He's really trying to anticipate the next pitch and guess what's coming and whatnot. And he strikes out. So, you got this career minor leaguer that's down to single A ball in his first at bat. He's supposed to be the guy, and he strikes out in his first at bat. But, he just, whatever. He doesn't get all bent out of shape. He just goes back to the dugout because he's got the confidence that he knows he's earned his place. And Annie does what Annie does. She offers her advice, sends it on over a cue card. Excuse me, a note card. She's not standing there with a giant. Just standing up there
with a big cue card, a big 4 foot by 6 foot card. She just holds it up.
Exactly. Yeah, here's your notes, Crash. She sends it over on an index card, offering her his advice, and
well, he sends one back, which I think typically doesn't happen to her. And
I don't think so.
I read this in the trivia, and so I read the trivia before I watched the movie, and so I was really paying attention to this scene. And what he writes back to her is because Annie has Millie read the card to her, and what Millie says is not what's on the card.
No, we're close because you can read it. Yeah. You can read what he's writing because he's got like this little hole between his arms.
It's quite vulgar,
so you can definitely see. It's very crude.
Intentionally. He's trying to get under her skin, because I think he's kind of offended that she would send him, this 12-year professional player, this feedback, the first time she's ever seen him play, and so he kind of reciprocates in kind, and gives her some, I don't know about feedback, but an invitation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let me show you what I'm made of, and so. Yeah, like you said, Millie reads back something that's not even close to, which was kind of sweet of Millie too, to just kind of, I'm part of the middle process.
I'll read what Millie says. Millie says that the note says, "I want to make love to you" from Crash.
Yeah,
that's not what it says.
Well, that is what it says, but
those aren't the words that are there.
Right. Yes, he uses a different word for make love. Oh man. Just the machismo in the dugout too is, and we kind of see a character arc change, which is nice.
I'll kind of tangent off that. I love baseball. Like I grew up playing baseball, played through high school. Still love playing a good game, like pick up, 14 or 16-inch softball, and baseball players are dumb. They are like when you look at like your North American, your big three American team sports, baseball, football, basketball. I would argue baseball players, they come across as the least intelligent. You watch the game, like there's these weird idiosyncrasies that baseball players have, and like this weird culture that they sort of cultivate around themselves. Like you look at all the dumb facial hair that baseball players have.
Very superstitious, and let it be known, listeners, I did not play baseball, but Curtis did. So take what he just said in heart when you're deciding which one of us is the more intelligent one of the pair.
Well, I played high school baseball, therefore I am the unquestioned expert on baseball. It's like when you're listening to like sports talk radio and somebody calls in. It's like, I played high school football, so I know what the Bears are doing wrong.
Right. I'm just referencing that, the high school baseball player just said that baseball players are dumb. So there you go. I didn't play. I was on the chess team at Scholastic Bowl. I built robots by myself.
I just spilled my ear medicine. Yeah, that's right. Because between the two of us, I'm the one who people would automatically look at and think jock, and you're the one who they would think, oh, that guy's a nerd. He's building.
What's on your shirt?
Yeah, you got the Spider-Man thing there.
Fair enough. You've got the entire collection of comics behind you, so I don't have that.
Yeah,
I have books from learned individuals like Simon Pegg and Bruce Campbell.
Learned Bruce Campbell.
I have both of his books. He's in a smoking jacket in one of those covers. Thank you very much.
That's classy right there.
He is classy.
Sophisticated Bruce Campbell is.
I bet he didn't play high school.
No, he's way too smart for that.
We do love you, Bruce Campbell. Oh boy. So Crash meets Andy at the batting cages the next day. And he's it's weird. He's changed his tune. He's working really hard to get Annie to be with him instead of Nuke. Which I think he was a little hurt that he got stepped over so quickly. Like, he came in and, like, after 12 years, I don't try out. And then she was just like, okay, bye. And that was it. Like, I love how uncomplicated Annie is at this point. Like, at this point in what she's been doing, she's like, I'm not going to let you rattle my cage.
She knows what she wants, and she acts on it.
Or emotionally. Yeah. And I love it. I love the security that she's in, even though, some would look down on her for her choices. Whatever. Like, it's your life.
Yeah,
do what
she's
you
not
want
hurting anybody.
As long as you're not hurting anybody. And so I think Crash was a little hurt that I'm the guy and he's just the kid and you chose the kid over me. And so he's really trying hard. And I love the fact you got Susan Sarandon dressed up in high heels, just hitting pitch.
Yeah, they meet at the batting cages the next day.
And she does miss on the last one or whatever, but as he's talking to her, so you could tell like she loves baseball. All right, so after our batting cage scene where Andy just, no, I'm with Nuke. This is what I'm doing, and so we're back to the ball field.
Yes,
Nuke's pitching again, and Crash is offering more advice. He goes out to the mound several times. Like, I'm glad that they. It's like after every other pitch, he's out at the mound.
Well, Nuke's shaking him off. He's this young rookie pitcher, couple games into his professional career, and he's shaking off this 12+ year veteran catcher. You don't do that.
And all Nuke wants to do is, I want to throw the heat. I want to give him the heat. And so, Crash goes out there, hey, you got to throw more ground balls. Like, you don't have to strike everybody out. Throw some ground balls. You're holding the ball too hard. Hold it like an egg, Yeah. And Nuke's just, I want to give him the heat. So Crash is like, all right, do what you want. So I love these scenes. So he just goes back. Crouches behind the plate, tells the batter what's coming.
Yeah, fastball's coming.
Yep, here comes the heat, and just crushes the ball.
Oh yeah, the guy annihilates it.
Like, gets a free steak. Like, that's how hard he hit it.
Well, he hit the Durham Bull side.
Yeah, exactly. He hits the bowl, and if you hit the bowl, you get a free steak. And so I just wonder too, like, I wonder if any of that happens in like the pros. Not the giveaway pitch, but like you tell the batter what's coming, even though, like, but you're lying to him.
Yeah.
You know, like I wonder if any catcher gets down there.
Oh, I'm sure it happens all the time.
Here comes a curveball, and then it's a slider or it's a cutter, or whatever. But no, in this case, no. Everybody believes Crash because he's a man of honesty. And here comes the heat, and here comes the heat. Yep. And so Coach is struggling after the game because he doesn't know how to reach his players. They suck,
and they're like
they
8,
suck.
They're like 8-16 at this point.
Yeah,
they're awful.
They're terrible, and they don't really seem to care.
No.
They just
very
they're playing ball. They're playing ball and going drinking. Like that's what they do.
They're resigned to this.
And so Coach asks Crash, "How do I reach my players?" And Crash's like, "Maybe you should try scaring them." And I just love this scare tactic as he walks into the shower, and naturally the entire team is showering at the same time. And he walks into the shower with like 16 baseball bats and just throws them across He just chucks them across the shower. It just starts ripping into the team. And they listen. Like, they seem to be paying attention. Like he's reached them somehow. It doesn't turn things around, though.
No. There's something about professional baseball players that just... Something about being naked with other men is like a part of baseball culture. I'm a big fan. Again, we live in the Chicago. I live in the Chicago area. Yes. Speaking of
something about being naked with men. Anyway, I'm a big fan.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the Score, the Chicago sports station of Chicago, and some of the stories that some of these guys tell about. And it's typically with like older managers or managers who, like the Tommy Lasordas of the world, the Don Zimmers of the world, the Jim Lelands of the world. These managers who are, like in like the 60s and 70s and 80s, if these managers wanted to intimidate reporters, they would invite the reporter into their office and they would just be sitting there naked. So there's something about this like sort of sick macho baseball culture that which I'm a big fan of, again, as Oz established before. I'm a big fan of sick, naked, macho baseball culture.
Oh, nothing's more intimidating than a naked Don Zimmer.
Oh. You were saying about our team's performance? Yeah. Whatever.
I don't think Pedro would have shucked him to the side had he charged the mound naked. He would have ran because he's intimidating.
Yeah. But it's just baseball has this weird culture.
Yeah, and having never played, I don't know. I didn't even play Little League ball. I'm sure that it goes down that far.
Yeah. And when before I say I played high school, it was for this tiny podunk rural town and nothing like the professional.
New Trier.
Yeah, New Trier, exactly.
Stevenson. You played for Stevenson.
Yeah, no. Now, teeny tiny rural district, where it's
I know.
So small that there's no tryouts. You show up and you're on the team.
Oh yeah. Oh, and I'm from the same, cut from the same cloth and still work in the same, not the same district, but very similar. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm with you. Just we need it almost to the point where the coaches, as opposed to holding tryouts, sometimes the coaches have to talk people into playing just to have enough.
Yeah.
And so, the culture there is a little different because you're not, I don't think, you don't have a team full of ball players.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You've got a team full of kids that are on the team, but they're not your quote unquote ball players.
Yeah, you got a team full of kids who want to play a spring sport, is what it is.
You can tell the difference.
And baseball just happens to be the most popular, typically, spring sport. Yeah.
You can tell the difference between a kid who's on the team because he wants to play a team sport and a kid who's on the team because, he's a baseball guy. Yeah. And you could tell just by the amount of eye black they have on. So
you're not wrong with that.
Right. If they step out of the dugout looking like the Ultimate Warrior, then they probably believe in the superstitious stuff.
Shakes the ropes and then sprints out to right field.
And they just hold their bat. They're doing this with their baseball bat on the way to the plate. Sprints to
right field.
starts pumping their arms before they get in the batter's box. Oh, I would love that. Love it.
Does some high knees.
They've got tassels tied around their jersey sleeves.
Overhead presses the catcher.
Shoulder blocks the first baseman before he catches the ball. I would love to see the Ultimate Warrior on a baseball field.
Some guys with that eye black, though, you're not wrong. Like, you know, your real baseball nuts will do that.
Yeah.
And it's
Randy Savage played minor league baseball.
You're right. Randy Savage did.
Yeah. We're halfway through the circle. We'll go full circle.
Yeah, we'll get there eventually. It's like,
we're about halfway.
It's like as I think about this during the conversation, like what makes baseball unique that it brings out like the stupid in people? There's so much downtime in baseball.
Oh,
and, like
yeah.
as opposed to like basketball, which is just constant, and even like hockey, which is constant, and football kind of comes in spurts as well. But you know, you're like baseball is all kind of isolating as well. Like you're standing out there in left field, and you know, 30 seconds between pitches.
Yeah. Or you're sitting in the dugout and you were the third out last inning.
Yeah.
So you're just sitting.
Yeah.
You know, but you're right. Like you said, football goes in spurts, but the spurts aren't minutes between.
Yeah.
You know, you might go 45 seconds and then do something for 10 seconds and then wait another 35 seconds.
Yeah.
Where, like you said, baseball is you might, you know, if you were the last out of the last inning and then there's 2-3 up, 3 downs, like you're not batting for 3 full innings.
Yeah.
And then if nothing comes your way in the outfield, imagine, and especially now with MLB having everybody DH, you imagine, like, if you're a DH, it's even more downtime.
Yeah. Like you got to find ways to keep yourself engaged, and that's how guys do it, or that's how people do it sometimes.
You turn your hat inside out and wear it.
Yeah. And which is one of the reasons, kind of bringing it back to the movie, why I absolutely love the scenes of Crash in the batter's box, you know, like with his own inner monologue, or Nuke on the mound kind of talking to himself, because you got nobody else to talk to. So you're alone out there. You're stuck in your own head.
Yeah, it is definitely one of those team sports that in a lot of ways, because there are a lot of team sports that really feel individualistic. Basketball is not one of those. And football is not one of those. Like you rely on someone else, but baseball, absolutely.
Well, and that's why advanced metrics, like some of these like sabermetrics and advanced statistics, it's so easy to do with baseball because it is so individualistic.
Yeah, you could track a guy, you know, using his data. And they should make a movie about that.
Yeah, what a novel idea.
Yeah.
Should involve Jonah Hill. Yeah.
Jonah Hill and Brad Pitt.
What a pairing that would be.
And just and have it set in Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Right. Yeah. And call it like, I don't know, like baseball data or
cash ball.
You get ball in there somewhere. Yeah.
Money cash.
Yeah. I think we're onto something.
Yep.
Be the first production from Oz and Curtis Studios.
We'll keep workshopping this one, folks.
Yeah. We'll come back to it. Anyway, the Durham Bulls leave for a 12-day road trip, and Annie gives Nuke a pair of her garters and wants him to wear them when he's on the mound. She tells him it'll be freeing, like, and I think in her way it's like, it'll keep your mind off of pitching because you're constantly going to be thinking about what you're wearing. Yeah. But he's not smart enough to understand that logic.
He's not smart enough to understand anything.
No. And so off they go. They all hop on the bus, and it's as really probably as close as the team has been thus far, because everything's been a home game. So they're off on the road for 12 days. While on the bus, like, Nuke is Nuke. He's playing his acoustic guitar. He's being that guy. Yeah. you know, everybody just wants to sleep or read or whatever, and then there's Nuke that is just being that guy. You know, Crash gets him to stop. They almost fight again.
Yeah.
Nuke, you know, and he just
go ahead. Nuke asks Crash, "Why don't you like me?" Yeah. And Crash says it's because you don't respect yourself or the game.
Yeah. It's like it's and he's right. Like, it's a matter of Nuke has got the potential, all the potential in the world. And I've been saying this for years, and I think you would agree with it. Potential, I think, is a bad word. I've told students, you don't want to have potential, because that's somebody telling you you're not good enough yet. That you could be, that you should be better than you are. And if you aren't that good yet, that means that you're disappointing in some ways. So it's kind of this backhanded compliment to tell somebody they've got potential. I'm like, you don't want potential. You should be delivering the best you possibly can. So you're not disappointing anybody. And Nuke's got all the potential in the world, and he's got all the assets right there in front of him. He's just so slow on the uptake that he just can't get on board. Crash then does tell the team about his 21 days in the big leagues. Yeah. He's made it to the show, and of course he didn't stick. They about fight because, again, Crash is calling him meat, and Nuke's feelings are hurt. Stop calling me meat. Nuke does have a nightmare. It's kind of a cool, because they don't really segue to it. They there's not like there's not like the Wayne's World.
There's no Scooby-Doo ending.
No. And so and there's no like wavy cloud dream transition. So Nuke's on the mound sweating like crazy, but it's really from the neck up, and you could tell he doesn't have a shirt on. But as they pan back, it's Tim Robbins in a jockstrap and the garters, and everybody is laughing. Everybody is laughing at him. My favorite person laughing at him is someone you wouldn't even notice. They're showing home plate, and there's this old lady up in the stands, like front row, and I just have so much like love for that actress that I'm like, you're just old lady extra, and there's this basically naked man on the mound in a pair of garters, and you're just laughing at him. You're not ashamed. You're not closing your eyes. You're just like, ah. I don't know what just tickled me about that. I'm like, that old lady's even making fun of you. But it was just a nightmare. A nightmare. And so the Bulls, their 12-game road trip is done, or 12-day road trip. Annie picks up Nuke when they get back. She's so excited to see him because it's been 12 days since she's had any action, and she's usually a every night kind of gal, apparently, or at least probably hasn't read.
Yeah, when she's not reading poetry.
Right. And so she takes him home, and she wants to play catch. She wants to have a catch.
She wants to have a catch.
And of course he doesn't want to. He just wants to go to the bedroom because he's got 12 days of pent up energy.
Because Nuke knows two things: throwing a fastball and what he perceives as intimacy.
Yeah, and hitting. Specifically. And so she wants to play catch. Just let's do it. So Millie's there. Millie's in catcher's gear, and he can't do it. Like, he just, it's not what he wants to do. So we go to another game. And, this time, Nuke pitches the game. He's wearing the garters this time. And he's even, like, internal monologue. He's thinking about how not thinking is working well. And then he catches himself thinking about not thinking, and then gets mad at himself for thinking about not thinking.
Nuke struggles to become an actualized person.
Yeah, it's just like, wow, this not thinking really works. Wait a minute. I'm thinking about it. He's such a Neanderthal. But in the stretch of this, like, they turn it around. Mm-hmm. Like the Durham Bulls, they're like, Crash tells Nuke, once they start on this win streak, hey, don't sleep with Annie, man. Because, again, the whole superstitious thing. Plus a little
self-interest there.
There's a little self-interest, but it's just, hey, did you sleep with Annie? Well, no. Well, don't, because we're winning.
Baseball superstition.
Yep. And so they've got themselves tied for first on the 4th of July. Like, they went from the worst to first. They were the early 90s Atlanta Braves here. Only with, instead of having Glavin and Maddox and
Smoltz.
John Smoltz and Steve Avery.
Yeah,
Nuke LaLoosh. He'll throw 180 pitches an outing if you need him to,
until his arm falls off.
And so it's a cool montage because you've got the Durham Bulls winning games and making outs and playing well, and meanwhile interspliced with Annie being very lonely
and
sitting on her bed,
getting frustrated.
Yes, getting because she gets it too, and I think that's what's frustrating for her. She's not being neglected because she's aware of the reasoning, that. This is what baseball players do. They're superstitious.
Yeah, she's around the game a lot,
and so
like you said, she gets it. Like there's a question as to whether like momentum is a real concept in professional sports. Like we've got momentum, we're in a winning streak. Like it's all what you perceive it to be. Like there's not literal momentum that carries from one game to the next.
No, it's not. No, physics is not involved in that regard. But you're not a rock rolling down.
But if you believe it to be real, then it becomes your reality.
We can't lose. We're unstoppable. And so Annie gets it, but she's frustrated personally because what I want I can't have right now because it's not what's best for the team. And Annie and Crash get into an argument over Nuke about the same thing. And that's when Annie realizes that she actually wants to be with Crash, to the point that when they lose, finally, they lose. Crash gets thrown out, and and they're together. So Nuke and Annie are together, and she calls him Crash. She calls Nuke Crash, and he catches it. Like he's an idiot, but he's. I don't know. In this regard, like he's like, you just called me Crash, and she's like, well, wouldn't you rather me call you his name when I'm with you than call him your name when I'm with him?
Okay, that checks out.
He's like, but even he's like, but you called me Crash. Like your logic makes sense, Andy, but I still don't like it.
As his gears slowly turn in his head.
Yeah, slowly. This is definitely... I think Crash and Nuke are like the real world equivalent of like Pinky and the Brain, only on a baseball field.
What are we going to do tonight, Brian?
Take over the world, Pinky.
Pitch for the Durham Bulls.
Right? That's today's plan. And so the Bulls again, they lose the game. Crash gets thrown out. And so Nuke's excited. Hey, we lost, Annie. We lost. So he brings his dad. Nuke and his dad.
His dad, because his dad was at the game, and he had the big camcorder going. And
right, and Nuke was nervous about it because my dad's here, and Crash talked him down. It's just he's just a fan. Just a person in the stands, no big deal. So Annie is excited for Nuke to come by because again they've lost. He's excited. She's excited for Nuke to come by. Finally put an end to her. Their winning streak. They're ending their winning streak will finally put an end to her losing streak.
Well said.
And so Nuke shows up with his dad, but he's totally on board to leave his dad in the other room and go take care of business. And so, no, that's not going to happen. Annie gets a phone call. It's for Nuke. He's been called up to the majors.
Just like that.
So,
from single
like
A.
That. I know. I bring that up later. It's all right. Like that's quite the leap. But they're expanding their roster, and they're calling him up, and. So Nuke tells Crash he's going up, and Crash just loses his cool. Like Crash is either he's playing pool, like he's at some minor league, former minor leaguers or major leaguers bar playing some pool. Crash shows up, and out of respect, it's like, hey, or Nuke shows up and tells him, they called me up. I'm going to the show, and Crash just like. He pulls a Nuke and picks up a billiard ball and throws and breaks some glass. So that's how these two work out their conflicts. Is they throw a ball through some glass. And and it's like the tables have turned just a little. Nuke is the one, or Crash is the one that's overthinking everything, and Nuke decks him, like throws a left hand and puts him on the ground. He's got a giant black eye. And it brings Crash back to his senses, because the first thing he asks, what hand you hit me with? He's like, I hit you with my left. Well, good. Don't ever hit somebody with your pitching hand. He's just jealous. Yeah. I mean, the jealousy erupted.
He's been doing this for 12 years.
Even though I think Crash knew all along why he's there. Like, he's been catching this guy all season. He knows he's got the talent. And he tells him, hey, those guys are going to light you up early on. Just
everybody in the show can hit a fastball.
Yeah. So you got to learn something. So, and it's kind of an ironic name for Crash Davis, because after Nuke gets called up, everything comes crashing down. Crash gets called into the manager's office. It's our second time he's been called into coach's office, and the coach gives the same speech every time he cuts a player.
It's the hardest thing for a manager to do.
Right. Robert Wool's over there shaking his head. Yep. So they cut Crash, and and he's begging. Come on, I hear there's a catcher spot over here. Hey, have you thought about management? Because again, he's a little long in the tooth.
All he knows how to do is be a baseball player.
Right. And Andy pointed out earlier, you mentioned it and we kind of glossed over it, that nobody really pays attention to minor league records. But if Crash can get 20 home runs this season, he sets the record for most minor league home runs. So that's kind of like in his back pocket as motivation. So he does. He leaves Durham. He heads over to Asheville, and he's gonna catch for them. But before he does, though, he gets cut from the team and he walks around town. As they do. Another montage.
We get some sad 80s saxophone playing.
I love it. Yep. I love it. And so he's walking around town, and he ends up outside Annie's house. And they do some stuff. And it's a lot of stuff, right? Like, they're happy. They do some stuff, but not before we get a jockey's product placement on her underwear.
I didn't notice that.
He had undone her buttons on her shirt, and as he was reaching down to undo her stockings, because Nuke could not figure out how to get a woman's stockings off. He's like, when she's trying to seduce him during their winning streak, take my stocking off. He's putting her thigh right in front of him. And take my stocking off, and he could not figure out how to do it. Well, Crash is slow. The camera's slowly following his hand down the small of her back. We see the jockey's brand on her underwear as he goes down and just single-handedly, without even thinking about it, just undoes her stocking. She kind of lets out a little moan because, finally,
I don't have to teach somebody how to do this.
Right, and they're happy. Like, these two spend some time together a little bit, and they're happy. Like it's like he's okay. He's a little more intellectual than what she's used to, so like they can have conversations. It's not just a physical relationship for her, and for him, it's somebody to talk to that's not a baseball meathead. But he does leave to go to Asheville. While there, he sets the single season home run record, or the single season. He sets the minor league home record. After he hits that last record breaking home run,
he retires.
He quits. He hangs it up, and he comes back to Durham, and he comes back to Annie, and he stays in the minor leagues until he is a major league pitcher for the love of the game. First, they visit Iowa, and they check out the Field of Dreams, and then he tries his hand
to Tonka.
Tries his hand, yeah. He tries his hand at golf, and meets Rene Russo, and now he owns a giant ranch in Montana. So it is good for these guys. He's really moved up in the world. But no, he and Annie are together. Annie has put aside her ways. She's finally found what she needs instead of constantly getting what she wants. He has the same. He's realized there is life after baseball. I don't have to continue chasing this as a fulfillment. And they live as happily ever after as you can in Durham,
that
North
scene
Carolina.
on their porch at the end was super sweet. I almost found myself tearing up a little bit.
It really was.
Because he says, I hit my dinger and quit. And then she says, I quit too. Boys, not baseball.
Right.
And then, he talks about, because the manager, Riggins, told him, like, there might be an opening, and was it like Visalia next year for a manager? And she just tears up and just turns her head and looks at him and just says, you'd be great. Mm-hmm. Aw, that's sweet.
Yeah. And so we really don't know how they end. If you weren't paying attention, we were going, listeners, we were going back and forth of what Kevin Costner has done after this movie. We weren't just making up things that, they found themselves in the future on a water planet.
He grew gills behind his ears.
He went back to the 1800s to deliver mail.
And then he challenged the Lee Harvey Oswald assassination.
Right. And then he spent some time on Sizzle Beach, USA.
And then he delivered mail in the post-apocalypse.
I just said that one.
Again, the post-apocalypse.
Right. And but he did take a detour protecting Whitney Houston for a while too.
Yeah, somebody's got to.
Right. Before that movie took a complete left turn, it went into this this bonkers oh man, that movie got weird.
And then he delivered mail in the post-apocalypse.
And then retired to Sizzle Beach, USA.
Which is in a ranch in Montana.
Right. All right. That's
somehow my
Durham.
brain didn't register that you said that before. And so I'm just going to lean in.
It's okay. It's all right. You're a dumb baseball player.
That's all I am. I'm dumb baseball meathead.
Yeah. Quit thinking. Listen more.
You got to read me more Whitman.
How about Winfield? I'll read you some Dave Winfield.
Read me some Dave Winfield. Maybe some Willie Randolph.
Have you heard Rod Carew's newest hit? He does get a shout out from the Beastie Boys, though.
Yeah, he does.
Rod
Carew. God, got more hits than Rod Carew?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So.
All right. Well,
they don't have more hits than Pete Rose, though. So
no.
Just Rod Carew. They're not even at the top of the hits chart. They're just somewhere up there.
They're in the top 5% though.
Yeah, easily. So,
all right, folks. At this point in the show, Oz and I each give our own unique rating to the film in question. 1988's Ron Shelton, written and directed Bull Durham. How would you rate this movie, Oz?
I'd give it a 3-2 fastball.
3-2 fastball. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my rating. I don't know what it means, but there you go. How about you? What do you give it?
I'm giving it 247 minor league home runs.
Ooh, good one. Mm-hmm. That's better than 18 walks and 18 strikeouts.
Yeah. Next up, we have Outside in Sight, where Oz and I each scour the interwebs for a non-professional review of the movie in question. Oz, what did you find from your source for Bull Durham?
I reached out to Doug O from Rotten Tomatoes, who gives this movie a half star.
Uh-oh.
Lord, this movie is such garbage. Reminds me why I hate Kevin Costner, period. And baseball, period. I guess if you're a brain-dead jock or have a massive head trauma, this movie might be up your alley. If not, avoid like the plague.
Like the plague.
Yeah. The only way you'll like this movie is if you're brain dead or have massive head trauma. That's it.
It's the only way.
Yep. So avoid, because that's something one could do. You could avoid the plague. If you see it coming, you just go the other way.
You just duck behind a bush until it passes.
Right. Just wait till it to go. Just avoid it like the plague.
Just be assertive and tell it, shoo, plague, you get out of here.
Right.
Today is not your day.
Yeah, right. I don't think it worked out well. I wish someone would have told all those people in Europe, guys, avoid the plague.
Avoid it. Okay, I would just walk into it.
Oh my! It's not like a spider web. Like you just, yeah. Just avoid it. Yeah. So, all right. So, thank you, Doug O from Rotten Tomatoes, who hates Kevin Costner and baseball. Okay, idiot! Why did you watch this movie then? If you know you hate baseball and you know you hate Kevin Costner, why would you watch a Kevin Costner baseball movie?
Why would you subject yourself to two things that you hate?
He doesn't like plagues either.
No, he doesn't. Well, there's
or
no
brain dead jocks or massive head trauma.
Well, I mean, there's no plague in this movie, I guess. So maybe that's where he was giving it a shot.
Right. But he does. Like, oh, what an idiot! God, I hate Kevin Costner and I hate baseball, but I wonder if Bull Durham's any good.
I'm gonna watch Field of Dreams next.
Right. And then For the Love of the Game with Kelly Preston. So. All right, what about you? What's your outside insight?
My outside insight comes from IMDb, from user Cowboyd11.
It's probably one of his ranch hands on Yellowstone.
It probably is. So I don't know if Cowboyd was a former cowboy, like he did it in the past, or what. So
it's Oil Can Boyd's younger brother.
It probably is. It's Oil Can Boyd, yeah. So nice reference. Cowboyd11 says Costner, by the way, this is a 1 out of 10. Costner learned to pick better scripts, replete with profanity and immoral sexual relationships, and most unrealistic view of baseball life. There, THEIR, truly is nothing special or magical about this movie, but a forum for a low-end script with very little creativity. Typically, a script that resorts to foul language has little to offer. Having played high school and college baseball...
Oh, there you go. There you go.
The content in this movie is not what is lived on the field of dreams. I played college baseball, therefore I am the expert on all things baseball.
Yes. I know how minor league baseball works because I played extremely organized and scheduled college baseball.
Yep.
Right? When because in the minors, well, of course, in college, when you're not playing baseball, you're left to just do whatever you want to fill your time. Oh, wait, no, you're going to classes and doing other things. Mm-hmm. What an idiot. Cowboy, you're dumb.
Sorry, Cowboyd11. I'll look forward to your calls into the score when you're yelling at the Cubs for what they should have done 2 days ago.
Right, because I played college ball.
I played college baseball. They should have put in a right-handed reliever there.
Right. They should have tried to score more runs that game.
Yeah, if only they'd listen to me. It's like that
I could.
It's like there's a line
fix the Cubs.
Yeah, exactly. There's a line in Donnie Darko where the dad is watching TV with, God, I want to say it's like Maggie Gyllenhaal's boyfriend or something like that.
Okay.
And they're watching a football game together. and like the boyfriend says they should have gone for a safety on that play. And the dad just like looks at him. Should have gone for a safety.
Oh, I love that movie, Donnie Darko.
We'll have to manufacture a reason to have. Maybe we'll have like alliteration month or something.
We already have alliteration month.
Do we?
I think so.
Oh, we got so many things in the hopper.
Yeah, we do. We do. So,
all right. Time for our signature segment, the moment you've been waiting for, dear listeners. The 3, 2, 1, where Oz and I each share 3 goods, 2 bads, and 1 about the film we've been yapping about. Oz, what are your 3 goods for Bull Durham?
My first good is I absolutely love Nuke's pitching windup.
Particularly the Fernando Valenzuela version?
Yes. He's working hard to make sure he arches his back. He waits to make sure he's breathing through his eyelids.
Yeah.
It's just the whole thing. It's just Tim Robbins he's so awesome in this and that windup because he nails it every time, and it's so over the top. You could tell that he's like, I have to do this to be good, and it's perfect. So I love that pitching windup because it's so ridiculous. I would love to see a major leaguer actually use that windup.
Well, Fernando Valenzuela won a Cy Young using that windup, so
true, and it's a very underrated pitcher. Yes. Valenzuela was awesome.
Yeah, early to mid '80s, he was great.
Yeah, my second good is just Susan Sarandon gives an absolute major league performance in this movie. She's so good, so good to the point that I felt bad for her because she's got so much sexuality without being nude.
Yeah.
And it's so classy that near the end of the movie, when they do let a little bit slip, I felt bad for her. I'm like, you don't need to do that with her character. Like, she is classy sexuality all through this movie. Someone who is in control of what they want and what they have, and it's just so empowering. Like it's just, she's in charge. I'm in charge of my life, and this is how I'm going to live it. That when things start to slip away later, when Crash leaves and Nuke's gone, and neither guy she wanted for the season is still there with her, things kind of break down a little bit for her. And I felt bad, seeing Susan Sarandon's part.
I felt so empowered by it. This next spring, I'm going to go out to Des Moines, Iowa, and I'm going to pick a player on the AAA Cubs to have a monogamous sexual relationship with.
to groom.
Yeah, to mentor.
You're not. Well, the Kane County Cougars are a lot closer.
They are, but there's something about Des Moines, Iowa. That's just, when I think Des Moines, I think romance.
Right, that's true. Who doesn't? That's what Iowa is.
I'm gonna go.
Land of
I'm
romance.
gonna go mentor a player at AAA baseball, and
Des Moines is the Paris of the United States,
at least of Iowa.
As someone once told me that Kankakee was the Seattle of the Midwest.
I don't know who that's,
and I believed you for a moment.
Who that someone is. Sure is rated a lot. You know what they say about Kankakee.
I'm like, do they really? I didn't know. I learned a lot about Kankakee.
Yeah, there was
that it's not the Seattle.
No, it's not. I think we were waiting for a midnight showing of Lord of the Rings: Two Towers, if memory serves.
Yes, we were, because we, Did we push through? I don't remember. I know we pushed through Fellowship before Two Towers. Did we push through Fellowship and Two Towers before we went and saw Return of the King?
I don't recall.
I don't remember. I don't think so, because that would have made like a 9-hour day of just Lord of the Rings. But I do know we did, because I remember getting very sleepy in Two Towers because it had been a long day. But it was still worth it.
Yes.
My third good, and you mentioned it earlier, sad saxophone music.
Sad 80 saxophone.
Yeah, it's like once January 1st, 1990 hit, like, they took all saxophones out of artists' hands, and you weren't allowed to use them
unless you're
anymore.
playing ska,
unless you're playing
ska or jazz. You put that saxophone away, mister.
Yeah. Or if you're making an 80s movie, like, in reference. But yeah, sad saxophone music. I love it. Love it. So those are my three goods.
I also love how we both noticed that.
Kevin Costner's kicking a can around Durham at night, only backlit, and there's just sad saxophone music.
Oh, my three goods. I mentioned this a little bit before. I love the inner monologue that you hear from the characters, because it's, again, baseball is such an isolating sport. Like, and there's so much strategy to it. Like, if you're batting and there's a runner on first with one out and you're in a 1-2 count, is so much different than nobody's out and you've got a 2-2 count. Like it's these subtle differences that mean the most, and that was like the real baseball-y part of this movie, because I think it really captured the experience of being a baseball player in those moments, and how do you approach your craft in the moment. I love it. I thought that really just nailed like your baseball-y baseball.
Cool.
My second is, man, Nuke is dumb. In all the best ways, he's dumb.
Yeah.
And of course, Tim Robbins, it's his performance, but I love how they wrote the character, and he's this just big dullard who's got the $1 million arm and the 5-cent brain, and that's all he's got. And by the end, you could tell he's been listening to Crash's feedback, and he's taken meaning from this. And is he still dumb? Yes, but he's slightly less dumb.
Even when Crash is giving him at one point he's giving him advice on what to say in interviews, and it's just all your just boilerplate repetition. I'm out here for the team, just where you get nothing out of it. It's just talking.
I'm just grateful to be here.
Right, and you see him in an interview at the major level with the reporter, and that's all he's saying is he's just regurgitating all of these empty lines that Crash had been feeding him. We're going to take it one day at a time.
Leave it all in the field.
And, right. Just all that, just empty nonsense, and it was just funny just because that's how he answered the entire interview. And the interviewer was satisfied. Because it doesn't matter what sport you see, there's just such that, just ambiguity in their responses that very rarely, which is why Allen Iverson got such heat with his practice, interview questions, because he was being honest. He's being honest, and the reporters are like, "Whoa, what do we do with this?" Like, oh, it was great. Yeah, I love Tim Robbins and Nuke's character in this.
My third good is it's okay to be a scholarly male in a macho profession. Like, it's okay to be well read. It's okay to be able to think and express feelings despite the fact that, you're in this macho profession. I thought this movie had a lot to say about, like, what maledom is and what it kind of should be. It was kind of subtle about it, but I appreciated that.
I think it's come a long way too. Remembering this movie is '88, it was a different era, where you see a lot more professional athletes from Ivy League schools and whatnot. And yeah, they still get nicknames like the Professor and stupid stuff like that. But I think your jocks versus non-jocks comparison has shifted a lot over the years. Like, NBA players spend all their time playing video games now, and it's like, you didn't do that then. I read something this morning that when, like, professional wrestler Bret Hart, when he started out, I guess he was very quiet, and he'd get to the locker room, he'd get dressed before everybody else, and then he'd go find a corner and just read until it was his time to wrestle. And it's like, you just think, like, in a professional wrestling locker room where it's literally like human action figures walking around, just because Bret Hart didn't fit the mold anyway. He was a technical wrestler, especially in the 80s, of a world of power slams and body slams, and so for him to take that approach, like, you'd never catch Hogan just reading, you'd never, I could see Roddy Piper sitting down to read. Because he was a smart guy, where, but I do think a lot of that some of that, not all of it, but it's changed some as we've gotten to this era where, it suddenly being a nerd it's not as, like, poke fun at and avoidable as it used to be. It's just part of the culture today, which is awesome. And so I think, I don't know for sure. I never played college ball, so I can't really know how the pros work, but I do get a sense that it's not as taboo as it used to be to be opinionated and intellectual and have a voice, even though the pundits and idiots are still out there like, just dribble a ball and shut up and
play ball, like, whatever. Athletes are allowed to have thoughts.
Yeah, they're still human beings. Like, it's
entertain me. Be the gladiator that I am paying money to go see.
Right.
And especially you see it a little bit more with NBA players, but many professional athletes now, they're not afraid to be outspoken about political issues or social issues, and it's refreshing. It's refreshing that they're allowed to do that. They're allowed to step outside of the box that formerly in past decades that they were stuck in.
But it's also just as important to remember that just because your favorite player has an opinion doesn't mean you have to agree with it. That yes, it is great that they do have a platform to share their voice, especially with social media. Because of course, prior to social media, it was whatever you had published was because you spoke to a reporter. But again, it's important that just because your favorite team or your favorite athlete has a stance, it's still important for people to form their own opinions, even if it differs from somebody they idolize. Like, that's okay, and it's healthy.
All right, Oz, what are your two bads for Bull Durham?
My first one, surprise, Kevin Costner's just so wooden. Now, I've seen him in worse. This wasn't terrible. I do like this movie. I don't want it to come off that he didn't ruin anything for me. But like I kind of mentioned pre-show, just Susan Sarandon and Tim Robbins just they're so comfortable in their role. I'm not watching Susan Sarandon. I'm watching Annie Savoy, and I'm watching Nuke LaLoosh, and I'm watching Kevin Costner. Like, it's just he's just he's got one speed, and that's what it is. And I'm not dismissing his talent. I'm just, because he's won an Oscar. He's won 2 Oscars, both for Dances with Wolves. Like, that's great. But it's just not for me, and
he's my bodyguard.
That's right. And it's like, I will watch a Kevin Costner movie. Like, again, I'm not going to avoid him like the plague. But I just go in knowing that if, like, for instance, I do like Yellowstone, but Yellowstone is such an ensemble cast that Kevin Costner, you'll go episodes without him even in it. So everybody else does. It's a well cast show, and that, But if it were the Kevin Costner and his family show, I don't know. But it is, and that's just for me. He's a wooden actor. He's a wooden dancer. When he gets up to dance with Annie, it's like, oh, Paula. Yeah. You probably saw this too. Paula Abdul.
I saw this. Yeah.
Paula Abdul choreographed that dance scene and thought she was going to get a speaking role in the movie of a couple of lines, and was told no, and I guess just flipped out. Like I don't get to speak in this movie? No, you don't.
I'm Paul Abdul. Opposites attract.
Right. I was a Laker girl. I know about professional sports.
Cold-hearted snake.
Right. Right. It would have been great if she said that. She's talking to Ron Shelton. You cold-hearted snake, look into these eyes. You've been telling lies.
Might be onto something here.
So that's my first bad. My second bad was just the... Granted, it's a work of fiction, but Nuke getting the call up from single A straight to the majors for less than 1 season of success, when it wasn't a full season of success, like he improved dramatically. Yes. But you just wonder, was his performance on the mound because of his supporting cast? And I don't mean this in the acting, but it's like, with Crash as his catcher and Annie as his balance, is that what kept him going? Because I'm wondering, when he got to the big leagues, was it, because there's no way he didn't think about it. There's no way Nuke was going to get to the show and not think about being where he's at every moment. So that for me was a stretch, and whatever. I got the call up. Like, okay. Going straight to the show from single A. Okay.
From single A, yep.
From single A. I understand why Crash was mad. It's like, I couldn't get the call up from triple A. And you're going straight, from A ball to the pros because of me.
Crash he's the best at being a mediocre player.
Yeah.
He's has the all-time minor league home run record.
That's right. Right. So those are my 2 bads. What about you?
My 2 bads. The first one, there was one really unnecessary scene kind of towards the beginning of the movie. It's when they're in the slump and there's 2 other guys on the team.
Oh,
and one of them is doing like he's like voodoo with the bat. And the other guy's like give me some of that. It went nowhere. And I understand you're trying to.
Yes, it did. It went to Major League.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where it went.
But I understand you're trying to establish that there's more people on the team than just Nuke and Crash,
right.
But it had this weird kind of grind to a halt for a couple of minutes there, and then it came back again while they're sitting in the dugout, and it just, I don't know. Yeah, I'm being a little nitpicky here, but it just, I don't know, those 2 minutes could have been better filled with more Annie.
And speaking of Major League, it's like, even like the 3 lifelong Cleveland Indians fans that they keep cutting back to in the stands of the Major League, even those guys felt better placed than these 2.
Yeah.
So I'm with you.
Agreed. My other has very little to do with this movie. How come a League of Their Own didn't have a male groupie like Annie? So, by the way, this one came as a suggestion from loyal Patreon listener Melissa L.
That would have been fun.
If Bull Durham has Annie, how come a League of Their Own didn't have the male equivalent?
Yeah, like Fabio
of Annie, who picks one player off? Was it like the Rockford Peaches or whatever?
Yeah. I think that would have been a better role for John Lovitz.
There you go. Hey, ladies.
He's the Rockford Peach groupie.
I can see him up approaching Gina Davis, like her character, and she just lays him out with one punch in a parking lot.
Well, thank you very much.
Check, please.
Acting.
And then who would play that? So would it be John Lovitz?
No, I think you'd have to have somebody. I don't know. I think you'd have to have somebody. If you're going to build a similar character to Annie Savoy in that era, what was that? Was that late 80s, early 90s?
That was 92.
92,
So
early 90s.
My suggestion to Patreon listener Melissa L was Brad Pitt, because you're now you're post Thelma and Louise, but you're pre Legends of the Fall.
Right. My first thought was Brad Pitt, but honestly, I think he's too good looking for it. Like, because I mean, Susan Sarandon was classy. She's pretty, but she's not beautiful. She's sexy, but she's not like pinup girl voluptuous. I think she's just like, like a how do you want to put it? Almost like a well-rounded, filled out like girl next door type. I just that's how I view Susan Sarandon. I'm not put off by her beauty. I feel like she would be approachable. So for me, I think Brad Pitt in this stage is probably too much to where there's no way these women would be able to focus. Because for one, they're going to fight over him. But I could see someone in that era of being more like, not a Tom Cruise, because that's an obvious one. I think Antonio Banderas is probably a little too... Plus, in that era, you'd never let a Hispanic man be part of that. Unfortunately. I don't know. That's a good one. Clint Howard.
Clint Howard. Jeremy Piven.
Right. Jeremy Piven, maybe. I could see a Jeremy Piven. Maybe a...
Clint Howard.
Honestly,
Steve Buscemi.
Honestly, like a Bill Pullman type.
Yeah, I could see Bill Pullman.
But he's already in the movie. Like... Because he's Gina Davis's like...
That's right. Oh, yeah.
War guy. War husband.
I completely forgot about that.
But like, he would fall into a Tom Hanks kind of, where attractive enough, but not like steal, I could see those. Someone like, but again, both of those guys are already in the movie. So probably John Candy. That's probably your go-to.
Marty Feldman.
Right. Corey Feldman.
There you go, Corey Feldman. He had nothing to do with the 90s.
No. So, Corey Feldman, we've solved it. Your Annie Savoy of League of Their Own would be Corey Feldman.
Corey Feldman, there you go.
Maybe Kiefer Sutherland would probably work.
Yeah, I can see Kiefer.
Attractive enough, but not like... But like, there's some people that still find him unattractive.
Sure.
I think at this stage... And I feel Susan Sarandon's probably that route too, but like, good luck finding somebody in 92 that honestly didn't find Brad Pitt attractive. Even if they say, "Oh no, he's not," I'm like, "Yeah, you just don't want to admit it."
Yeah, go watch Thelma and Louise again and come back
and be like, "Yeah." Like I've said to my wife, just randomly, or whatever. But my thing is like, if I woke up in the morning and looked in the mirror and looked like that person, would I be okay with it? And Brad Pitt would definitely be one that I'm like, if I woke up in the morning and looked in the mirror and looked like Brad Pitt, I'd be like, this is sweet,
I think the better question would be, if you woke up in the morning and looked like Brad Pitt, how would your wife be with that?
I don't know. It'd still be me personally. So she loves me for what's on the inside. She tells me all the time.
Wait a second. What do you mean by you love me for who I am?
We saw a lot of movies early in our relationship. She kept me in the dark. As possible.
Literally, she kept you in the dark. She kept you in the dark about keeping you in the dark.
Right. As long until she fell in love, we wanted to make sure that it was nighttime dates only.
It's a little dark in here. Go ahead.
Yeah, I grew on her like a rash.
It's a little darker here. Let me open up the shades. No, let's leave those clouds.
No. I may be a vampire. I'm not comfortable with sunlight. Oh, okay. No. Oh, those.
Yep.
I think to our huns.
Yeah, we're at huh. Az, what's your huh?
Why does this movie have so many montages? There was the road trip montage, the winning streak montage, the walking around after getting cut from the team montage, the Crash and Annie together montage. Like, there was just a lot of montages in this movie.
Yeah.
I almost feel like there should have been a song written about montages, used for montages.
Montage.
So that's my hunch. Just, why so many montages?
It's an 80s movie. You got to have montages.
Well, that too. And I know you're trying to squeeze in as much of a baseball season as you can. So I get that. But not everything needed a montage.
Yeah.
Now, what's your huh?
My huh, and I had a couple here. I just came up with what I'm gonna pivot to. There was a great scene where they're all gathered around on the mound, and the whole team is on the mound, and they're just they end up discussing like one of the players is getting married, and they're like
right, because they were. Yeah, after 5 hours of meeting Millie.
like what do we get him? And the pitching coach, Robert Wool, comes out and what? Like, we're confused.
What's going on, guys? Yeah, what's going on, guys?
And he walks, candlesticks make a good gift. So my huh is, do candlesticks really make a good gift?
I don't think so. Maybe in the 80s they did.
Maybe.
Yeah.
When
I wasn't married in the 80s.
No. Yeah, you don't see a lot of, like, tall candlesticks. You see, like the jars, like the Yankee Candle type
yeah.
thing.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. It's been a while since I've been any place other than, like, a church where there's tall candlesticks aflame.
I would be disappointed by a candlestick, for sure. But if somebody were to gift me a candelabra, I would be ecstatic. Because then I could walk around places in the dark.
If somebody were to gift me a free concert by early 90s post-grunge band Candlebox.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, that too.
I would not like that. They're terrible.
And they may play at your wedding for free now. So I don't think they're up to much.
Just give them a free meal.
I always got Candlebox and Live confused.
Both
I think
bad.
Was Live the band that sang Lightning Crashes?
Yeah, Live is slightly less bad, but that's a very slightly it's a very relative comparison there.
Yeah.
But ironically, Live is the worst live band I've ever seen.
I haven't seen live.
I saw them at some Q101 Winter Bonanza, whatever they called it, and oh my goodness, they were terrible.
I don't know who my worst live. I mean, virtually all of the concerts I attended were with you. I honestly think there may be just one concert that I didn't see with you. That was my first concert. I saw Pearl Jam up in Alpine Valley. Mm-hmm. But I think everything else was with you. Did you see Garbage and Lit at Western?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yep. So we were there. Whether we were together there, I don't know. But
Lit wasn't that good.
No, they were. But they had one song.
Yeah.
Garbage was awesome.
Oh, yeah, they were great.
I constantly reference back, like, that being one of the most memorable concerts I've ever been to. They were awesome.
Yeah, they were great.
And the New Year's Eve Flaming Lips concert we attended.
Yes. Yeah.
But for different reasons.
Yes.
But no, there's a lot of bands I know I've forgotten that I've seen or we've seen. Like, I remember for certainty, did the Ravenettes open for the Sounds? Was that the same concert?
I think so. That was a double door.
Yeah.
I think so. I don't remember for sure.
It was such an intimate little bar setup. Yeah. I mean, that was a fun concert.
Yeah.
Both of the, because I didn't know either of those bands. That was a great concert. But at the same time, like, I sit back and I'm like, we saw Sonic Youth, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was at the Vic.
Okay. But at the same time, like, I don't remember it. Were we up in the balcony?
Yeah, we were sitting in the balcony.
That's probably why, because, when you're standing 3 feet from the stage in a little bar compared to the balcony of the Vic, it resonates a little more. But no, I know we've seen Lips a couple times. I know we saw White Stripes. I know we've seen Interpol a couple times. Maybe once, I know. But yeah, so we've seen a lot. Mm-hmm. Sonic Youth. Really wished we could have seen Radiohead. I never got to see Radiohead. But.
I saw Radiohead they played in Grant Park in Chicago.
Okay. There was one. Oh, I have no idea who it was. I don't remember. I think it was just the guy's name. I went with you to this concert, and it just his music just didn't sit with me, and so I stayed, but I just didn't really get into it. I don't remember his name though. Doesn't matter. But yeah, we've seen a lot.
Yeah. How did we get to that topic? We were talking about candlesticks. Then Candlebox.
We talked about live, and then you said live was the worst concert.
Okay,
and...
just retracing our steps there.
Yeah, there we go. Full circle.
There we go.
I think the lead singer of Live played minor league baseball.
That's why he's such a
and there we go. We've made it full circle.
Yeah, there it
is. Shirley Manson played minor league baseball. So,
all right, Oz, what do we got in store next week?
All right, next week we are in week 2 of Sports Comedies Month, and it is your turn because I hijacked this one. We are going to be watching Paul Newman classic hockey movie Slapshot.
Yep.
So that is what you are bringing to the table for
I am
us
bringing
next
it.
week.
I have never seen Slapshot. I feel embarrassed to say that.
I've seen it a couple of times. It's been a while, but it is. It's a fun movie. It's 70s. Is it 70s or it's late 70s or early 80s?
It's 70s. I want to say 77, I think.
Okay, so but it definitely feels like a late 70s movie. Not only, I mean, in one of those where they couldn't make it today with the same type of jokes they told then. And so it'll be a little bit, it's got a little bit cringe.
Sure.
But if you let yourself in the moment, you're like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's charming. And again, it's like minor league hockey, minor league baseball, minor league hockey, where things don't seem to be as regimented as the pros. So there's a lot of freedom. But it is a very fun movie. So yeah, we'll be back next week with Slapshot. But before we go, we do want to give a shout out again, our Patreon subscribers, Don S. and Melissa L. We also want to thank the wonderful people over at the Chicago Indie Critics group, the prestigious review organization that we are now a part of. So
thank you for having us.
Yeah, it is. It's been a lot of fun. I mean, even though we're still kind of getting our feet wet as affiliate members, there were, some conversations last night we had in a meeting about some of the perks that you get. Like when it's time for award season, you get a lot of screener access. Some of them physical screeners, and one of them, even as an affiliate member last year, she said this production studio sent out like a book of all like Blu-rays. I think it was Blu-rays, if not DVD, of like all the movies from their last year, like a catalog book, and they just, here you go, as a gift for being a reviewer. And and so they shared it, and I'm like, that looks pretty sweet. And so there may be some episodes coming up, as if you or I find our way into the pre-screening to where there might be some bonus episodes where we do some reviews of up and coming soon to be released films, where we get to be part of that community that once the curtain has lifted and reviews can come out, that we might join that party. But we're not there yet. But
we'll get there.
Maybe someday.
We'll keep running up that hill.
That's right. That's right. So if we could just get a hold of the Master of Puppets, let us do it. And so that's come. But until then, we're going to do Slapshot next week. So thanks, guys, for coming. You again can find us everywhere where you can find a podcast. Hit us up on social media. We're on YouTube. Anywhere that you want to digest our content, feel free to do so. But until next week with Slapshot, I'm one of your hosts, Oz.
And I am Curtis.
Thanks, guys.